editing suite, and we actually created a new preset called Glitter Mousse. Well, today we're going to play and change that original Sparkle Horse sound to something more appropriately assigned to a preset named Glitter Mousse. Now you can either follow completely along with me, it's a rather long video, and you can follow step by step and do the same things I do, or work with a preset on your own. Either way, you should have some fun, but by the time we're done, you're going to see every single thing that you can use in this editor app to help you create your own presets. Over to the app. Back in the editor, and it's time to work on Glitter Mousse. If you've created a glitter mousse like this in order to follow along, that's great. And if you've chosen a different preset and given it a different name, that's fine too. If so, however, be aware that the sonic character of what you create will not sound like what you hear on my end, but that's okay. Just pause the video at any time and listen to what you've created so far. As we know from the last tutorial, Glitter Mousse is just a clone of the Sparkle Horse preset, which sounds like this. Now notice that the preset appears on your Theremini's LED readout, but it has not replaced your original preset, 01 Classic Theremin. If you turn the preset knob, you'll see that it's still there. I'm going to do that right now. Now look, there's 02, there's 01 Classic Theremin, and it sounds just like the Classic Theremin. Be forewarned about a bit of a glitch here. If you do what I just suggested about seeing that your preset is still okay, but that Glitter Mousse is gone, and then you go back and select it in the library presets, and it does not appear on your Theremini again, you've got to turn everything off and start over. There's also a chance that the sound itself may be completely different from what Sparkle Horse sounds like. If that happens and you're just beginning, not only might you have to start over, you might have to get rid of Glitter Mousse, re-import Sparkle Horse into your Ethereality library, make sure everything else is off, turn everything back on again, and then it should sound the same. I'm really unsure as to why this anomaly can occur. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, so be aware of that. Another thing to be aware of is a possible second glitch, and that is that as we alter this preset's sonic characteristics, that glitch is that you're going to be working and testing your sound, and you may want to save what you're doing up to that point. I've noticed that sometimes after saving, the sound of the preset is completely different sounding to what I thought I was saving. Again, I'm unable to explain this anomaly, but I've come up against it numerous times, and in that case as well, you may have to start over. For now, everything seems to be working. Glitter Mousse sounds just like Sparkle Horse, and we're ready to experiment. Now obviously you're free to experiment in any way you like, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to take things in a very structured order and offer explanations when they're appropriate. So here we go. Let's stick in the basic area and look at scale. Clicking on it reveals all the scales that you have available to you. I can select any of them and it will immediately impact what you hear on the Theremini. If I select, let's say, minor third, it features quantized pitches in corresponding intervals. I'm sure you can hear the quantization there. And the same is true of major pentatonic. Or any other will change the sound. You get the idea. Now for this session, I want to choose chromatic because I'm hoping to create a preset that can be played just as a classic theremin can be played. So I've selected it. The root field functions in the same way, allowing me to choose the root note in what I'm going to be playing. Right now it's set on C. Take a listen. Now I'm going to try F sharp just for the difference. Take a listen to this. It's also quantizing a little bit. I'm going to stick with F sharp. Now the pitch correction knob works exactly like the one on your Theremini. It determines the degree of quantization of the pitches. If I turn it completely clockwise, which it is right now, you can hear its maximum. And if I turn it completely counterclockwise, you can hear its minimum. And we are at 0%. No quantization at all. Since I'm going to be using this preset as I would a classic theremin, quantization of any kind is really unnecessary, so I'm going to leave it at 0%. Let's go to the waveform field. I can select any type of waveform offered in the drop-down list. Now by default, at least for glitter mousse, here it is on triangle. And notice that the three knobs to the right of the waveform field are grayed out. As I roll my cursor over them, I get the message that these three attributes are not being used by the waveform. Sine, triangle, and supersaw do not allow me to mess with these knobs. So I want to choose some others, but take a look. If I choose sine, it sounds different. But once again, these three knobs are unavailable to me. And the same is going to be true of supersaw, as the message said. So let's try Anomaly. All three knobs are available to me. Let's see what it sounds like. Whoa! Loads of harmonics, and still kind of musical in an off-the-wall way, and all three knobs, as I said, are now functioning, but I'm still trying to find something that might suit traditional melodies. Let's try Ether Wave. All right, and all three knobs are available to me. That's good. Let's see. Wow, some buzzy harmonics, almost like a classic RCA theremin, and it seems to have a built-in sharp attack when I hit a note. Let's see. Yeah, sharp attack. So all three knobs are available. I'm going to take it. I will keep it on Ether Wave. Now I can twizzle and tweak these knobs just to see what they'll do. Now all three of these knobs are going to have an impact on the waveform itself. It's going to cause it to be either smoother or stronger or more hollow sounding or other characteristics depending upon how you set them. Now, something I've noticed in my own explorations is that many times the changes are so subtle that it's tough to hear any difference at all. It depends on which waveform you've selected and the degrees to which these knobs alter its behavior. A quick comment here is that in order to move the knobs, you don't actually have to try to twist it in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. It's a little difficult to do that. All you really have to do is move your cursor straight up and down like this. Straight up, we'll move it clockwise. Straight down, we'll move it counterclockwise. Makes it a lot easier. Well, we're on scan rate. The scan rate is going to determine the speed of the wave as it sort of cycles through all the timbres, the sonic characteristics that it has. Let's see. Are you hearing any difference? Let me try something extreme here. I'm not hearing much of a difference. Let's try it the other direction. I hear very little just when it's used on its own, so I'm just going to leave it here for now and go over to scan amount. Now this is going to determine how much change you hear while cycling through the wave's timbres. This is what it sounds like now at 0. Now let's see what we can do with the scan. I'm going to do something extreme and get it way up here and see. Ah, okay, listen. I'm definitely hearing some differences there. And okay. Let's see what we got here. I'll keep it there for now. I probably won't use something that's fluttering that much. And scan position. The scan position allows you to choose a timbral or a tonal sonic texture starting point for yourself. Right now it's at 0. If I go all the way extreme, let's see what it does. Well, that's even more pronounced. Let's see what happens if I take the scan amount completely out and see if it does anything. Not that much, considering. If I go to 0 for everything, let's see what the difference is here. Okay, I hear a difference in terms of the clarity of the high end. If I go all the way with scan, yes, it's much sharper, much sharper. Okay, I like that. It's definitely louder. It seems to be a fuller timbre. And maybe the only way to really discern what this trio of knobs can do is to use them in combination. So I like what was happening with the scan amount here, with that sort of fluttery sound. It's not happening there. Let's see. Seems like when the scan position is all the way up, that doesn't have much of an effect. Maybe the scan rate has to come off of 0. Let's see. There it is. Well, that's a little bit too machine gunny, I think. Let's see what we got. You know, let's see. I kind of like it. I'm going to go low. Very low. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, it's still there. Can you hear it? And let's see, scan position, scan position. Let's see how it sounds again. A little bit too buzzy, like an alarm system. I'm going to take it back to about here. Let's see what happens. And if I do anything with the scan rate again, does it happen? I think I'm going to take the scan position all the way out. I like the more muffled sound, but then that fluttery sound doesn't seem to be there anymore. Now it is. All right. Let's scale it back a little. I kind of like that. I'm going to leave it there. Let's move on to the filter field. We got a number of choices here. We have off, low pass, band pass, high pass, and notch. Each one of these filters will essentially suppress, accentuate, or leave unaffected the various harmonics, which are also known as partials, the various harmonics in the waveform, and that will in turn impact the tonal quality of the sound. Let's talk about low pass. I'll select that. Low pass is going to lessen the amount of force. It's going to weaken the magnitude of any frequencies above what's called the wave's cutoff frequency. And a very oversimplified definition of that is a cutoff frequency is the point at which the filter begins to work. You'll hear that it lets more bass through on a low pass filter. Let's see. You'll hear it in comparison with the others. All right, band pass. I think that's the next one. Yes. Band pass is going to lessen the amount of force or weaken the magnitude of any frequencies that are both above and below the cutoff frequency, the point at which the filter begins. Let's see what happens. Well, that's very different. So that cutoff frequency, we could say, is in the center, and anything below and above it, high and low, are just getting completely cut out. I think that's going to be a pass on the band pass. High pass. Well, high pass will be the opposite of the low pass. It's going to lessen the amount of force or the magnitude of any frequencies below the wave's cutoff frequency. So you're going to hear more of the higher frequencies, and the bass probably will be practically gone. Let's see. Well, once again, we have a very squeaky kind of sound. And finally, the notch pass. Let's see. The notch filter, sorry. The notch filter is the opposite of band pass. So it's going to lessen the amount of force, weaken the magnitude of any frequencies right around the cutoff frequency, and let the frequencies above and below it play through. So let's see what that sounds like. Oh, I like that. I can hear the flutter. I'm getting a little bit more softness in the tone. Not bad. I'm going to choose notch. I like it's got good bass, it's got good high end, and it seems to my ear to be something that resembles a little bit of the early RCA Theremins. Now I can play with the three knobs to the right and get some more color into the sound. So as we've already learned, the cutoff determines where the filter starts working. The resonance is going to give you some more oomph. To quote the user manual, it gives more emphasis to the frequencies specified by the cutoff knob here. And the pitch track enables the note you're playing, again, to quote the user manual, to either increase or reduce the filter cutoff value. And then it goes on to say that the precise effects are going to vary. So at this point, whatever those effects will be, we'll just hear them. So let's just listen from here on out to see what happens as we experiment. So I'm going to mess with the cutoff at first and see what happens here. I'm going to go extreme. Doesn't sound much different to me. If I go up this way, there's still not much of a difference. Let's see, but maybe I'll set it at about halfway to see whatever that does. About halfway there. For the resonance, let's see. Let's see what happens. It goes from 100 to 0. Let me cut that out a little bit and see what happens. Not much of a difference. I'll try it at 0. Oh, okay, now I'm getting quite a difference. It's much more muffled. The high end seems to be out a little bit. I'll go 100. Yes, it's much sharper sound. I am going to set it at 0. I kind of like that muffled softness. All right, pitch track. We have extremes from 0. We can go to 0 and all the way into the negative numbers to a negative 800%. What the heck is that going to do? Let's see. Wow. The only way I can tell if it's having any kind of effect is to go the other extreme. Now that I'm not hearing much of an effect. Let's see. Let's try something sort of in the middle. One thing you may notice is if, let's say I'm going for 200% here, it's a little bit difficult to get it exact. You see, I'm trying as hard as I can to sort of tweak it into 200, but 200, you might hit it as you pass. Yeah. Well, 201 is just fine for me. Okay. Well, and it slipped back to 195. 201. There we go. Let's see what it sounds like. One of the things that I kind of like about that is I can use vibrato, and that little flutter has a kind of a nice thing going. It's pleasing to my ear, so I'm going to keep it. Now to the final section. The field, as well as the three knobs, allow you to set specific parameters that will not only further alter the sounds, they're going to survive over to the Theremini. In the field, there's the word preset, and just like on your Theremini, when you select preset, it will reflect what you do here. Now we can set the degree to which the short, medium, and long delays, just like you have in your effects on the Theremini, are going to be affected. Now I kind of like the way this preset readout with the delay time being Here, the feedback and the amount, I kind of like the way that sounds, so I'm going to leave it alone. Now, here, it seems as if the word preset has a slightly different meaning, meaning to be able to preset what each of the selections in the menu will sound like. Note that no matter what you select, short, medium, or long, the minute you start altering things, the field on the left is going to read preset again. This seems to be an anomaly. It's kind of quirky because not all the settings hold every time, and it can get confusing unless you know ahead of time what to expect when you alter the settings and how you save them. And that's what I'm hoping to prepare you for. Watch this. I select short delay, which you now see in the field. Did you notice that the dials actually changed here? And we have the delay time in milliseconds. Let's see, I'm going to play around here. Now you can hear how the delay time will increase and decrease. Also, let's see. Do you hear that? It's a longer time. Huh. All right. You can increase or decrease it. Let's see here. I don't want it to be too big a delay. I'd like a little more than that. How about, well, I'm trying to get it to 450. It's close enough, 452. Let's see. Nice. I like that. The feedback knob is done in percentages, and it's going to determine the degree to which the delay is going to be fed back to you. So the further clockwise you go, the more the delay effect repeats itself, and it also determines how long the delay will last. Right now it's at 10%. Let's see what happens if I bump it up to 79. Do you hear that? It's really resonating quite a bit. If I go to the full extreme of 100, well, that just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. I think I'm going to settle on something, let's see what 30% sounds like. I like that. Remember, this is for the short delay. Okay, I can take 30%. And finally, the amount knob controls the amount of mixing that's going to occur between your original signal and the delay signal. So at the extreme ends, such as, this is also in percentages, at the extreme end at 0, there's nothing happening. But if I go to the other extreme, it will play at 100%. I think I'm going to pull it back a little bit, maybe 85%. There we go. Let's see what that sounds like. I like that. Well, I'm happy with what I have here so far. Now, in order to make that happen, remember, we haven't saved it yet. So I want to save that short delay time. Look at the readout. 452 milliseconds, 30%, 85%. If I click Save, it's going to ask me, do I want to save a preset name? It's 02 Glitter Mousse. All right. I'm going to say OK. And of course, it comes down here. And now we have that sound. Let's look at medium delay. Once again, it's changed the numbers by itself to 256, 20, and 85. Let's see. I want more of a delay time, obviously, for medium, so I'll go to 675. Feedback, I'll increase it to 35. Oh, this is quite a delay. Listen. Not bad. And, let's kick this back to about 70. I like it. We've got to save it again. Save it again. Now it's going to give us a preset 3, which will reflect that sound. If I go back to 2, look what happens. That's the preset for the short delay. We're going to need one more. We're going to need one more for the long delay. Now keep in mind, it's saving all of these settings, but it keeps on multiplying. I told you this is some sort of a strange anomaly, and it really is. So now for the long delay, well, that's a very long delay. I'm going to make it a little longer. I'm going to give it more feedback, say about 80. Not quite that much. 60, if I can get it there. 60. And the amount, well, I like that. It just goes and goes and goes. All right, and I'm going to save that too. Now, I'm going to get rid of all of these. And this now should have all of my settings. There's the long delay. There's the short delay. And there's the medium delay. Not too bad. But the numbers have changed a bit. This, as I said, is somewhat of an anomaly. But you'll get used to messing around with it. You'll get used to getting it where you want it. Time to move to the advanced section. Here we go. All right. First, let's take a look at the volume knob. Now, depending upon where it's set, you may have noticed during your testing of the preset that the volume is not changing relative to my hand's distance. Everything I've done in the basic, listen, I'm going to hold my hand here. I put my hand right by the volume loop, and I'm lifting it up, and it's one constant volume with the exception of very close to the volume loop. This knob determines the degree to which you're going to be able to go from soft to loud and loud to soft. If it's set to 0, there's no sound at all. I'm waving my hand right in front of the pitch antenna. Nothing's happening. The more I increase, the more the change occurs until I get to 1600%. And here, there's absolutely no loud to soft. I get one constant volume until my hand is very close to the volume antenna, which makes the sound go away. Now the great thing is here that if I'm very careful, I can actually not only get the Theremin's volume to behave the way it should, that is, the closer I get to the volume loop, the softer it is, and the further away, the louder it gets. I can actually set it to help me produce a slightly cleaner articulation. Now, in the manual, it tells you that for the maximum effect of loud to soft and soft to loud, you should select 100%. So I'm going to try to get it at 100%. It's a little tough. Oh, I saw 100. There it is, at 100. Now listen, I'm starting close to the volume antenna, and it'll get softer. It'll start soft and get louder and louder. And as I that's behaving like a normal theremin, but I'd like a little bit of a sharp. That's a typical Theremini volume loop attack. It's a little soupy. Let's see what happens if I move it just, let's say, to about 150%. Do I get a little bit of a cleaner articulation? Of course, trying to get it to 150. I'll take 154 for the sake of time. Let's see. It is a little bit cleaner, so I'll keep it. I get a nice clean attack, but there's virtually no way to play softly if I raise it any higher. Now, maybe another set of parameters, different filter and a different sound, a preset sound to start with, could give me a different result. But for now, I've set it here just to get a little bit more cleanliness at the start of a pitch. Now, for all the rest of the knobs, for both antenna, my opinion is that the technical explanations, good as they are, do very little to get you understanding of what's going to happen from a sonic standpoint. So my feeling is that the only way to know where you want these settings is to just explore and listen carefully to what's happening. As I said earlier, these settings are going to ascribe attributes to the sounds that will be activated either by the volume antenna or the pitch antenna. In other words, these two antennas will initiate a direct impact on the character of the sound. They're going to impact the character of the parameters that we set up over here in all of our basic settings. Now this requires a lot of back and forth in settings here and in testing it on the Theremini. So rather than just keep switching shots back and forth, listen for the changes. So here I go. For now, I'm going to deal with the volume antenna. We've already talked about the wave scan amount and the wave scan rate. Let's see what happens with the volume antenna to initiate some of this stuff. It's at 0. I'm always willing to go to an extreme first to see what happens. Oh, now that's quite a bit different than what we had before. It's fluttery. It's a lot more fluttery. Let's take it back here. Oh, and now the flutter is almost completely gone. I like a subtle flutter. Subtly flutter? Flutter subtly. Let's see. Not quite. Too much. A little bit less. Okay, I like that. Scan rate. Not bad. Filter cutoff. Ooh, very different sound. I like it because it's beginning to sound a little bit like a classic Theremin, RCA type. Let's see what happens if I take it all the way out, just for the heck of it. Not much of a change. But here, it sounds a little more muffled. I'm going to keep it at 50% and move on. Filter resonance. Okay, I can tell what's happening there. If I take the resonance all the way out, it's much more muffled, which I tend to like. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more of a bite, I think, at, let's see, negative 120. What the heck? If I can get it to do it, 121, fine. Okay, I like that. Now on to the pitch antenna. Okay, I'm enjoying the way this sounds. I'm enjoying the way it sounds. Let's try this wave scan amount. Now the pitch antenna is going to affect the same thing. Ooh. We have the delay going there. So it's a little tough to hear around the pitch antenna. I'm going to take the filter resonance back out here. If I put it all the way to the extreme, it's a little bit sharper, but not much because the volume antenna is having an effect on it too. I'll keep this at 0. What the heck? If I can get it to 0. Whoop. There it is. Okay. And the wave scan rate. I'm not hearing that much of a difference between these settings. Oh, there's a difference. Listen to the difference at negative 400. About halfway. It's just a bit sharper. I liked it at about 150. I think that was about where it was. Maybe not. I like that. All right. Last, we have the pitch transpose. As you can see, it works in semitones and directly impacts the waveform generator. It's going to either raise or lower the pitch within certain parameters. Now, according to the user manual, it can lower by a maximum of 60 semitones and raise it to a maximum of 63 semitones. And the only way to find out what all this means is to play around and test it. Let's do this. All the way, 63 semitones. Okay, That's interesting. Now we'll go down a little bit. Go all the way to the other extreme. Oh, that is so low, I don't even think you can hear it. Let me raise it a bit. Can you hear that? That's really low. Whoa. Oh. There's something about that low. I'm going to settle on -13. Oh, I like that. It doesn't go as high, but I really like the way that is. And I'm done. I'm perfectly happy with what I'm hearing, except for one thing, the name of the preset. Glitter Mousse. This sound doesn't sound very glittery to me. It doesn't sound very bright and sparkly. It would sound if I reset the semitones. Let's see. Let's go up a little bit. I think it was by default around 10. Let's see. How about 38? Ooh, now that's nice. That's the lowest note there, but I like it. So, have you realized what's happening? I can get the best of both possible worlds. This high-pitch one, instead of being completely off the charts, the pitches are actually much further apart than normal. I like that. This could enable me to play in a high range and have more distance between the pitches. I like that. So, as I said, best of all possible worlds. Watch this. First, I'm going to save everything just as I have it for this high version. I'll save Glitter Mousse here as preset 1. I'm just going to make it preset 1. And it will replace what's currently there. Yes. Now I have it. Perfect. But now I want that low one too. I want both. So now I go back to where I had my lower range of semitones, right around -13 or so, I think it was. Let's see. Ooh, I like that. Nice. I'm going to rename this one. I think this has a muddy, kind of buzzy sound, so I'm going to rename this preset Mud Mousse. How's that? Now notice, it didn't change Glitter Mousse here, but when I save it, do I want to save Mud Mousse as preset 2? Yes, I do. Now I have both. I have Mud Mousse, and I have Glitter Mousse as 2 separate presets. This is great. This is great. Now there's just one thing left to do, and that is port a preset over to the Theremini. I'm going to send Mud Mousse over for now. Do I dare do it? Do you dare do it? Sure, because we've already established that you can get any original preset back anytime by bringing it over from the Theremini factory library. So, this is the big question now, which preset on the Theremin do I want to replace? Now, you're going to have to go through your presets and decide for yourself, but I already did that in anticipation of this tutorial, and I'm going to sacrifice preset 14 called Quiet Time. I've gone through all 32 resident presets in the Theremini, and there are a number of other presets that sound quite a bit like Quiet Time. So here's how we do it. First, we hit the sync button, and you're going to notice synchronize the editor with the Theremin's library. There's the message that you get, and you're also going to notice a little progress wheel right here. It's going now. The editor is synced with the Theremini. There we are. They can talk to one another. All I have to do is drag Mud Mousse over from this preset onto Quiet Time right here, and it will replace it. I'll be prompted, of course, and asked if I really want to overwrite it, and I'll say yes. But before proceeding, I'm going to read to you directly from the Theremini Editor User Manual, and I quote, here goes, quote, "Warning, there is no undo action for this operation. But, as we've already established, if I ever want quiet time back again someday, remember I can just go to the library manager, select the Theremin factory library, then sync the Theremini, then drag quiet time from the Theremini factory library over to preset 14 and replace Mud Moose. Simple. Well, let's port this Mud Moose over to the Theremini. I drag it right on top of quiet time. Are you sure to replace the preset 14 quiet time with the preset Mud Moose? Yes. And there it is, on my Theremini. Done. And here it is. Mud Moose. Do not be surprised if, for some reason, the indications of scale, root, and preset do not read as you set them. For instance, the scale may not show as chromatic when it has ported over to your Theremini, but you can get it to be chromatic just by hitting the scale button. You can choose any scale you'd like, as a matter of fact, just like you can for any other preset. So if it doesn't show up right away, have no fear. Same with root note. You can change it just by hitting the root button repeatedly. G, A, B, B flat, C, C sharp, D. I had set it on F sharp and it ported over pretty well. Now the presets. We can hear that we had a fairly short delay on that preset. I liked that. Let's check the effect of short delay. Much shorter, much less reverb or delay. Medium. Not bad. And long. Now, of course, we have the amount button turned fairly low. So as you see, it's going to work just beautifully. I'll try that with the short delay. Now you can really hear the difference. And medium. It's all working just fine. I'll figure out what preset I'd like to replace with Glitter Moose a little bit later, but right now I'm going to go play with Mud Moose. Out okay for me. I might even go back in and tweak it a little bit more. Again, I'd like to repeat that sometimes once you've finished all your tweakings and twizzlings, the sound that ports over to the Theremin doesn't sound like what you had. This is some sort of an anomaly which I've yet to be able to figure out. But I've learned that by going back into the editing suite, tweaking those sounds a little bit more, turning the Theremini off, turning the Theremini on. I hate to say all this because it can be a little bit of a difficulty once you've worked so hard to get a sound. But it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So play now to your heart's content. Wonder what I'm going to cover next time. Even I don't know yet, but we'll see.